let's take a look at our top selections. Hi everybody, Dan Illman here taking a look at the feature race at Keeneland on Sunday, October the 18th. Let's throw up the field for race number 8. It is at 1.5 miles on the turf. It is the Grade 3 Rood and Riddle Dowager Stakes. Fillies and mares going this demanding distance, and really the distance, I think, is the key to this race. Some of these horses are trying 1.5 miles for the first time. It's obviously very testing, and we'll see if some of these horses have the stamina to handle it. We'll throw out the Timeform US pace projector, and the number 4, Always Shopping, might be able to make the lead. I don't think they're going to be going fast in this race. It's a longer distance race. Some of these horses are going to want to conserve their energy for the stretch because they are questionable at the distance, and there really aren't that many speed types. Always Shopping has shown speed in the past, but her most recent race came from off of the pace with the addition of blinkers. But I would think Tyler Gaffalione's going to be forwardly placed with the 4, Always Shopping. The 2, Blame Debbie, could be close. She was actually on the lead in the Lake Placid 3 starts back, but Graham Motion put blinkers on in the last 2 races, and Blame Debbie is rated off of the pace. With Dignity is a horse who actually came from last in the early portion of her most recent dirt start. She's 3rd on the Timeform US pace projector. Good luck figuring out who's going to be on the front in this race. I would assume it's the 4, Always Shopping. I don't think they're going very fast. Let's talk a little bit about the number 1, With Dignity, and she's a horse that's kind of hard to decipher just off of her past performances. She showed a lot of ability last year as a 3-year-old, and she won going 1.1 miles. That's actually the longest distance race to date that she's participated in. That was over a sloppy dirt track, 3 starts back at Keeneland. She went away for a long time, and I think you can excuse her 2 starts this year. One was off of a long layoff in the Group B Doll Stakes against some nice horses. She probably needed the race. And last time out, what chance did she really have running against a superstar like Monomoy Girl in the Grade 1 La Troyenne? So now she should at least be racing fit. This is her 3rd start of the form cycle. She's stretching all the way out in distance. She has a middle distance sprinty pedigree, though. She's got some nice siblings. McCracken was a good graded stakes winning middle distance horse. I believe won the Matt Win at 1 1/16. 4 Graces is a multiple graded stakes winning sprinter. You've got Bondurant in there, graded placed, going middle distances on the turf. I'm just not sure this horse has a true 1.5 mile pedigree. I think we'll see some tactical speed as she stretches out. We'll see how she does on the turf. She's only raced once prior on the turf, and you really can't take too much out of that race because there wasn't a lot of pace. She finished evenly that day in a pretty good field. She's probably going to do well on the turf. She's probably going to run okay. I'm not sure if I want to take her as a great unknown against some of these others. She finds the right field, though. Blame Debbie is the number 2, and let's go back to Blame Debbie's most recent victory. This is her 2nd time in a row she's finished first. She was DQ'd 2 starts back. I thought this was a good performance for Blame Debbie, who was Grade 2 placed on dirt last year, raced in mid-pack, split horses on the second turn, had to alter course very sharply to the outside to avoid traffic, turning into the stretch, and Blame Debbie is very comfortably ridden under the wire by Joel Rosario. By her speed figure, only an 80, career best, only an 84, but I think this filly has the pedigree to go on with it. She's run well at 1.1 miles in the past. She has some tactical speed. She's a horse that I think has some upside, taking on some of her older rivals, some of whom we've probably seen their best running, like the 3, Overthinking. This horse hasn't won a race in over 2 years. 3 for 26 lifetime. Last time at Kentucky Downs, I don't think this horse really cared for the good course conditions. There wasn't a lot of pace on. The horse that won that race is a red-hot runner. Theodora B for Michael Dickinson went gate to wire that day. Overthinking actually ran well 2 starts back in the CTT and TOC stakes in Southern California. I think that field is comparable to the field she's facing here. She's one of the horses that's kind of a proven commodity at this distance, and occasionally she pops a good race and a good number, whether it be on dirt and turf. I wonder if she's a little bit pace dependent. That concerns me. The 4 is Always Shopping, and if you believe the Timeform US pace projector, and I kind of do in this race, she's going to make the lead, and that automatically makes her tough. She's got enough pedigree, I think, to get the distance. She's by Breeders' Cup Classic winner. Awesome again. Let's watch her last race at Gulfstream. Note the grinding style with the way Always Shopping wins this race. It's the Monroe Stakes at Gulfstream. It is not against a great field, but she really just grinds it out. And when I see a horse do this at shorter distances, I kind of think she's going to want more distance. She won the Grade 2 Gazelle at 3, going a mile and an eighth. She's trying to re-kickstart her career as a turf horse for Todd Pletcher. And with the perceived tactical advantage she might have in this race, she could very well put this field to sleep on the front end. She's a really interesting new face. The 5 is Siberian Iris. Siberian Iris, like the number 3 Overthinking's, kind of the vanguard in this field, you know, kind of the gatekeepers. We know what we're going to get from these horses going a distance of ground. We've seen them many, many times. And like Overthinking, Siberian Iris, I wonder, is going to be hurt if there's no pace. We've seen her run big races when there are pace. Let's take a look at her races back like the CTT and TOC of 2019, where they went wicked fast early, and she came up to win at 7-1. She's run into some decent horses in Southern California this year. 3 back against the boys in the San Juan Capistrano against Red King, who came back to beat one of the best turf horses in the country in United. Siberian Iris ran very well that day to be second. In this year's CTT and TOC, she didn't really get the pace. She didn't really have a great trip. She ran okay. Last time out, I don't think she cared for the wet turf. I don't think she cared for being forced to be closer to the pace than usual. Julien Leproux did the right thing. He knew there was no pace. He got Siberian Iris into the pocket behind the leader close to the pace, but Siberian Iris just didn't have any kick. She's the kind of horse that needs to make one run. She just can't sustain and make 1 or 2 runs. She's not push button. Maybe Siberian Iris, if this race just turns into a virtual crawl, and this field is separated by 4 or 5 lengths turning into the stretch, it comes down to who has the best kick. Siberian Iris might have the best kick. Naomi Broadway's the most curious horse in the race, the most fascinating horse in the race, and maybe she'll just pull off an upset for Paulo Lobo, second off the layoff. He's done it with Ivar in the Shadwell Turf Mile earlier this meet at a gigantic price. Ivar also won off a similar layoff, second off the layoff at Churchill Downs at a gigantic price. Naomi Broadway, distance no problem, Group 1 winner in her native Brazil, going a mile and a half. And if you just look at her last race, it was her first race in about 10 months. They ran her in a little optional claimer at Indiana ground, going a mile. And Naomi Broadway made a little bit of a move, sort of a 2-wide burst on the far turn, and then flattened out. She ran like a horse that probably needed the race. She's got that race now under her girth. It'll be interesting to see where she is in the early portion of the race. Maybe Joe Talamo gets aggressive and tries to put Naomi Broadway on the front end. I think she has a little bit more quality than what she showed from her first race, which there are a lot of excuses attached to it. Layoff, shorter distance than expected. She's a horse you could fool around with at a nice price. It's a real skullbuster of a race, the Grade 3 Dowager Stakes. We take a look at my top pick in here, and I like Siberian Iris. I don't like the 5-2 on the morning line. I'm going to need her to drift off of that price because she might be at the mercy of race and pace luck. But I think if she runs her best race, that could very well be the best race of any in here. I do respect Blame Debbie's tactical speed, and I do respect the form she's in. She's felt pretty in blinkers since Motion's put them on, and Always Shopping has a great pace edge, perhaps, going right to the front, and I think she could grind this out. Fun race at Keeneland on Sunday. 6, 2, 4, and 3 is where I'm going. It's the Rood and Riddle Dowager, and Sunday's feature at Keeneland has an approximate post time of 4:57 Eastern. Best of luck.